Welcome to PhD with Women on It, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hacks delivered will be by our guest, Angela Thurman. Topic: Women in Manufacturing. Episode 82 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo. And empathy is critical when you are a woman in manufacturing. Let me first remind you what's been happening in the world last week and past couple of days. Congratulations to STEM board founder and CEO Aisha Bowe, the first Black woman confirmed to fly with Blue Origin. She was the first Bahamian and the sixth Black woman headed into space. Let that sink in. 6 Black women. Way to go, Aisha. Before her, the first 5 Black women in space were May Carol Jemison, Stephanie Wilson, John Elizabeth Higginbotham, Dr. Sian Proctor, and Jessica Watkins. That's a great league of women in space. Thank you so much, production team, for bringing these names to our attention. Second mention, just 1.5 years of founding Fluxys Communities, our PhD 25 guest, Claudia Cafeo, is now a finalist for the Webflow Conference Awards for Community Leader of the Year. Congratulations, Claudia, and way to go, hack the future. And finally, all the best to Alison Falk, who just started an end-of-year fundraising campaign over at Women in Tech. For more information on how to support tech equity, visit WITPGH donation page or get in touch with Alison. I'm sure she will be happy to guide you through. Finally, congratulations to Natasha Musar on becoming Slovenia's first woman president. She's an LGBT advocate, Melania Trump's lawyer, and a data protection authority in Slovenia. In today's episode, let's go to discover things and facts and figures about women in manufacturing. The manufacturing sector is regarded as the backbone of both social and economic development. Women are an integral part of the manufacturing workforce. In fact, they make up 37% of it, and they play a vital role in the industry's success. In today's ever-changing landscape, it's more important than ever to support, promote, and inspire women who have chosen careers in manufacturing. Our PhD Positivity Hacks Delivered, episode 82, Angela Thurman, she is arriving not only from space. She used to work with different companies. She's an engineer. She's passionate about mentoring and supporting women in the manufacturing industry. She's a volunteer and currently the secretary and the membership director for Texas chapter at Women in Manufacturing, the only national and global trade association dedicated to providing year-round support to women in manufacturing and working towards a world in which a diverse and inclusive manufacturing sector offers equitable opportunities and rewarding careers for all people. Angela, let's start with simple question. Where are you joining us tonight from?
Currently, I am in Oklahoma, outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Fantastic. Great to see you. We had a bit of a problem joining the link today, but luckily we have Angela on her mobile phone today talking about how to hack the future if you want your future to be in manufacturing. So Angela, walk us through your career path. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up in this very interesting field.
I'd be happy to. So I am from a very small community in Northwest Arkansas, about 100 miles from where I sit today. And I attended university in my hometown and earned a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering. And from my college, my university, I took a position with NASA and moved to Ohio, to Cleveland, Ohio, where I first began working as an electrical engineer, supporting the development of the power systems for the International Space Station. So that was a very exciting entry into my career. I was with NASA for about 3 years, and then left the government sector to take a position in a smaller commercial manufacturing company, where I worked for a company that produced very high quality germanium and silicon for the infrared optics industry. So think about the night vision windows and scopes for, say, a tank or a helicopter, or even for the sights on a rifle, but also for the semiconductor industry. So we had very pure ingots or boules of single crystal germanium and silicon that went into the semiconductor industry. And so I was really inspired by the semiconductor industry. And so I was there for a few years, and then later moved into telecommunications. So I worked in the telecommunications industry for a very long time, and I earned my master's degree in telecommunications from a larger state school, Oklahoma State University, when I resided in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. I've worked for some very large telecommunications companies, including Sprint, which is now owned by T-Mobile. And I then left the telecommunications industry to move back into aerospace, where I worked for one of the largest original equipment manufacturers in aerospace, working for very large programs supporting Boeing, Airbus, Bombardier, and so forth. And then in late 2020, I left that company, and in 2021, I launched my own program management company in Houston, where I currently reside. So now I have a group of program managers that support me, and we provide program management, contract management, and supply chain management solutions for our customers.
Oh, here is unmuting myself. Technology plays with us tonight. That's quite a career, Angela. I have to say that I would never envisage myself going into completely different industries and then still be comfortable changing and going outside of your comfort zone and changing from one job to the other. That sounded very smoothly. Was it a smooth transition, or was it as a factor of somebody hired you because they saw how great hire you are?
I think it was a little bit of both. As an engineer, and particularly with a program management background, I was able to use those skills in a wide variety of positions and industries. My philosophy is that program management is industry agnostic. And so the same skills can be used across a wide variety of industries. And that has helped me to be flexible in various roles in different types of industries, because we're trying to solve problems, to find solutions. And it doesn't matter a whole lot if you're building airplanes or computer chips, or you have bandwidth in a telecommunications network. It's a lot of the same type of problems that you're trying to solve, and that really makes it very easy to transition from role to role in different industries.
But I would have to say, when we talk about industry agnostic, I would say that curiosity plays a big part in getting the job you want to get. Because I remember my first time I was working for a company supplying laboratories, and all we did was supplying laboratory equipment. And then all of a sudden I became this laboratory expert, and I knew how the things are processed, how to extract certain things and so on. I'm not going to go into details. I'm not a scientific approach here. I'm not applying any of that because I was just a secretary, but it was all very interesting to me. And then when I started working for pharmaceutical industry, I went into a different background. It definitely played a big role that I had this knowledge of certain companies, certain universities, and had something I could bring to the table. What about you? What skills, apart from project management, you executed with, let's say you worked for Tesla as well along the way?
Well, I haven't worked for Tesla, but if I were to join Tesla, I would bring with me team development, time management, a degree of being able to be a problem solver. And I think that those would be some valuable skills. I'm very, very organized as well.
Great. Organizations skills are critical here. Since we are talking about organization, there is a little comment here, and I wanted to say hello to Jane. Jane is saying hello, Beata and Angela. Excited on this episode. Jane, I hope you are considering a new field for your future, but if you're not, I'm sure there is lots of lesson to take from Angela tonight. Angela, somebody said about you, let me get that quotation just here. Sorry. I basically call her a one-lady Swiss Army knife that can do it all, states James Kennedy, founder Superstar Recruitment Services. From rescuing complex million-dollar projects and bringing them in on time to negotiating better contracts and saving companies thousands of dollars. Now, these huge companies, doesn't it overwhelm you sometimes that you are negotiating huge numbers there, and if something goes wrong, your head might be on the line?
It is a little bit overwhelming at times, but I feel that I've had the very best training I possibly could have, and I have confidence in my background, and I know that my team is supporting me. So I think that I can go in from the best position that I could have, and I think that probably gives me the confidence to do my best, and I really rely on my background and knowing that that I've made some good decisions in the past, and I have a wealth of experience and previous history with these types of projects and negotiations that have gone well. So
Let let me ask you,
I feel
going back to the
pretty good about
beginning, when you finished university,
it.
how did you apply for a job with NASA? Was it some internship program, or how do you get that first?
Well, that's a very interesting story. So I was in the university and I was reading Woman Engineer magazine. And this particular NASA facility, it was NASA Lewis at the time. It's now called NASA Glenn. They had a full page ad in the magazine. And so I thought, well, why not? And so I sent in my resume, my app, to the facility, and it was very interesting that NASA Lewis had the project for the power systems for the space station. And my senior design project was a switching power supply. So when I interviewed, they asked me, the man who eventually became my branch chief, my boss, asked me, had I applied to NASA at large or had I applied specifically to NASA Lewis? And I told him, oh no, I only applied to NASA Lewis because I had seen this ad in the magazine. And he said, I've never heard that before. I've never heard of this magazine. And, it's just incredible that your project is a switching power supply. And I have an opening for an engineer to monitor the switching power supplies for the space station. So they offered me the job.
Excellent. Now, I wanted to ask you whether you could share with us the history of women in manufacturing, because I think it's quite interesting to look at the statistics, how we were during the war. We were the main power behind the manufacturing jobs. And then what happened? If you could walk us through.
So, women in manufacturing does have a very strong fondness for the iconic Rosie the Riveter persona, and all of the women that supported manufacturing during World War II, and how women came forward to fill those roles that were so incredibly important to support the war effort. And so our founder, Allison Graylis, founded the organization about 12 or 13 years ago. And it is an international now trade organization, and the only one of its kind to support women and our male allies who have chosen to pursue careers in manufacturing. And so Women in Manufacturing, or WIM as we call it, is organized as a federation of chapters. And each chapter is locally organized and led by a board of directors. So you would have a chair, a vice chair, a secretary, and a treasurer, along with different committee members. And that board of directors leads the local chapter. And so WIM has a lot of different educational programs, and many of those are offered at no charge. And then there are programs that there is a small fee for. Some of them are very, just very professionally presented and even competitive. And one of the things that really impressed me about WIM is that they have a program that is, to my knowledge, the only one of its kind that brings leadership development opportunities to the woman that is on the factory floor. And I don't know of any other program that's like that. So we see a lot of leadership development for managerial level employees or those who want to go into leadership in their organization. But WIM actually has this program to reach to the employees that are actually in the manufacturing positions, which I think is just fantastic. And so WIM has regional conferences as well as its national conference. And then the local chapters organize events to reach their local members. In fact, in Houston, we're having a local meet and greet to get the members together for more of a social event. And then we have all kinds of chapter organized educational events as well. And all of this is presented on the WIM website at all times.
So we all get it. We need community to offer this support that is outside of the working environment. However, when I looked at the statistics, when I looked at the numbers, and when we talked about women in manufacturing as a backbone, just if we look at what happened in 2020 when we went into lockdown, when all of a sudden everybody needed toilet paper. And all these manufacturers were not capable of supplying because they didn't have enough people. On top of that, due to COVID, lots of females lost jobs because they didn't have support system, they didn't have childcare. So now, can you tell us what's the situation nowadays? Are there programs apart from your program? Are there any approaches by manufacturers, I mean the big factories, thinking about how to attract the female talent?
So I think that there is, and WIM is actually leading the forefront of some of that by producing educational programs and getting those large manufacturers to collaborate together to find solutions.
Because really, when people, with the simple concept is, and especially for me, I'm coming from, Eastern Europe. I was raised and born in Poland. And when I look at manufacturing, it's all about blue collar workers. However, there is a career path. Can you walk us through some examples of exciting career opportunities for females?
I think that there are so many. So manufacturing means so much more than simply working on a production line. So that can be very exciting. And I think that the incorporation of robotics, if you think about Industry 4.0 and what that brings to modern manufacturing is going to be very exciting as well. So there's a lot more of the integration of communications and, pardon me, computer-based data collection into manufacturing, and those kinds of careers that will bring about. And then you've got all of the support that goes into this. So maybe you work for a manufacturer, but your role is in accounting or program management or supply chain or legal. All of those kinds of careers are open to women. Engineering. Um, I really encourage women to pursue those kinds of careers. Think about those kinds of careers and how they can support manufacturing.
Absolutely. We encourage you all to think about where females should be represented. And just to give you an example, today I came across a very sad story. A lady who was sharing her story on one of the ladies' groups looking for support. She's suffering from a little bit of down moment in her life, and her parents are trying to put her out, and because she lives far away somewhere in a village, there is no opportunity for remote jobs at the moment. The only job offer was in a building site as a operator of machinery. And actually lots of voices said, why don't you do that job? Because if that's the only opportunity, I'm going to tell you that that's going to be well paid. There is clearly a need for these people, for skilled workers in that field, and don't be bounded. And actually lots of comments from other ladies showing their keys to their heavy machinery, showing that they have done it and they love it because they are surrounded. But of course some voices saying, it's weird to see a female, but on the other hand, they really love it because they are unique, they love their career, and they are doing something different every day.
Yes.
Now, we have got Agata Bellon. Hello, Agata. She's asking, what made you move from job in NASA to your next role? And the second question, and do you prefer private or public sector, Angela?
Oh, so the reason I moved from my job at NASA was personal. My mother became ill, and so I needed to leave Ohio and go back home to help take care of my mother. And thankfully, she recovered her health, and so it was a happy ending. And then as far as public or private sector, um, that could be a difficult question too. I think I actually prefer the private sector. Working in the government has a lot of advantages. It definitely does. But the private sector for me can be more rewarding in that the risks sometimes can be higher. Therefore, the opportunities also can be higher. And it's more, it's a little bit more flexible. So I think I prefer, as I am now an entrepreneur, I think I love the private sector.
So walk me through your exciting path of starting your own venture. Why did you start
Okay.
it, and how did you start it?
So at the end of 2020, obviously, since I was working for a very large avionics OEM, air travel was down significantly because of COVID, and the programs that I was working on had reduced production significantly, like they had completely shut down production. And so there have been a lot of reductions in my company, and so I was laid off. Um, I took that opportunity to look around and decide, well, what is it that I want to do for my next step? And I considered going to work for another large company that was supporting NASA. And I was actually in the interview process. And I decided that after having worked from home for a number of years, I just didn't want to have the long commute to the Johnson Space Center. For me, it would have been over an hour to the center and then back another hour every day. So I decided to seek contract work, and the customer that I got indicated that it was a requirement in their procurement system that I would have to set up a limited liability company because they didn't pay individuals on a contract basis. So I thought, okay, I'll do that. So I set up the LLC, and then it just became convenient for me to just set up a consulting company under the LLC. And I brought on board more PMs. I got an assistant, and the company just began to grow from there.
Excellent. Well done. If it wasn't for COVID, you probably wouldn't have started that job. So there is
That's exactly true.
Absolutely. As our mantra goes, look for something positive each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder. We have answer from Agata. Thank you, Angela. Great to hear that you enjoy your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you, Agata, for your great question. We still have got about 20 minutes for our show. Bring your questions. Say hello. Say where you are watching us from, whatever it is. We are keen on sharing actions, sharing visions, values, and enjoy sharing profits, as Cindy Gallop's mantra goes. Now, Angela, I wanted to ask you, now that you are having your own company, what is the biggest challenge owning your company?
The biggest challenge as a small business owner for me is maintaining a steady cash flow, because it seems like a big program comes in and then there might be a month when it's a small project, and so revenue comes in and then it goes down a little and then it comes in, and so trying to plan for the big months and then the small months, and just trying to keep that steady and plan for that is a challenge. I'm not an economist. I'm an engineer, and so the way I work with numbers is a little bit different. But it's just something that, as you're building your business, you have to recognize that there are going to be months when you're not bringing in as much as other months, and how you work with that. So just budgeting, I think, is a key, and working
absolutely
with your team.
However, you just at the beginning of your journey. Let's face it. How many years have you been?
A year and a half. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm sure the cash flow will be going and your team will be growing. Fingers crossed for that. So we have another question from Jane. What do you enjoy the most about working in a manufacturing environment?
One of the things that I most enjoy is being able to see, touch a finished product. And when you see your products helping, serving, and affecting the lives of people. So usually in the past 15 years, the products that I've contributed to have affected the safety of people. Because I work in aerospace, I get a real joy from thinking the work I'm doing today ensures safe travel for people. And whether that's because, I helped to make sure that this this upgrade to a product happened, or I made sure that a contract got completed. I'm doing something every day that helps ensure that people safely arrive at their destinations.
So let me ask you, what do you enjoy the least in the manufacturing industry?
The paperwork. There's so much paperwork.
Well, I can't imagine not having paperwork when it comes to work in aviation industry, because we can watch all these catastrophe videos where people didn't check the paperwork properly, or pilots didn't check all the boxes, and things didn't go quite as planned.
Yeah, we do not want that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for contributing to our safety, and we love flying now that we have opportunity. I am not going to ask you about imagine the pandemic is over yet. However, let's ask with the first question from our University of Questions for Positivity Hacks Delivered. What advice would you give to females if they want to start their own company?
I would say go for it. There's definitely an opportunity, and you have something unique to provide. So follow your dream. You can do it. There are resources available and loads of people that are willing to help. So if you want to start your own business, I encourage you to do it.
Absolutely. We have YouTube, which is one of the greatest and biggest universities in the world, and you can use the resources of Uncle Google and Auntie Wikipedia. Now, what is your strategy for problem solving? Is it scientific approach, or do you have something else up your sleeve?
So my favorite approach to problem solving is something called the 5 whys. And this is a technique that is used in Lean or Six Sigma techniques. So this is where you just ask why. Why is this situation occurring? Well, why is that? And then why is that? And you just keep asking why over and over until you get to the final answer. And I love this problem solving technique because it's, number one, it's very simple. And then it reveals what the true problem, the root problem is very quickly. And almost everyone can identify with this and use it. It's very simple. So that's one of my go-to methods for problem solving.
Absolutely. My only answer will be why? Well, let's not go into there. However, I wanted to ask you, playing on that why question, do you find yourself sometimes in a tricky situation when your authority is being questioned by men?
That happens frequently, actually. And I usually can rely on my experience, my education, and just my confidence to overcome that. But it is tricky.
Or you ask a question, why you don't believe me that I can do it?
Yes. Why are you asking that?
Absolutely. There you go. Now, Angela, as we are heading towards the end of our show, None of us are able to achieve success without some help along the way. Is there a particular person you are grateful towards who helped you get to where you are at the moment? Can you share a story about that?
Yes, definitely. So when I was in high school, um, there was a man, a deacon in my church, who took a special interest in me. And he was also the chairman of the engineering division of our local university. And he gave me a subscription to Woman Engineer magazine. And it really encouraged me to pursue a career in engineering. And he just has always held a special place in my life. And I think that I owe him a lot for
Mm.
accomplishing, my education, getting my degree, and where that led me. So he definitely is someone that I care about a lot as a mentor.
There you go. We are supported by men as well. Thank you very much. Now, what is the number one book you can sit and think, oh, I wish I read before I started my career? It could be even a magazine.
Yeah. So a book that I've recently read that really resonated with me is by Dr. Angela Duckworth, and it's called Grit, the Pursuit of Passion and Perseverance, I think it is. I just refer to it as Grit. But that really showed me that there's more than just raw intelligence that will help someone be successful. And she calls it grit. Do you have that determination to pursue your goals with passion and perseverance?
So passion and perseverance is critical when you are working in manufacturing, because sometimes the project might be delayed. How do you tackle this problem?
So that's a very good question. We see projects get delayed. Maybe funding has been withdrawn or requirements have been changed. And that's something that happens all the time. And then you just have to work with your team, adjust the schedule, maybe re-baseline the schedule, and determine how that's going to impact the project. Does it bring up new risks that have to be worked out? If the project is delayed, will that mean that certain resources that have been assigned to the project will no longer be available? And how are you going to accommodate that? So yes, it's definitely complex.
Well, somebody told about you. It was actually Elizabeth Allen, founder and partner at Economy of One. She says about you, Angela Thurman is unique not only for her impressive skills, but for, as she puts it, the long and storied career journey she successfully undertook. No wonder the quote she has taken from C.S. Lewis for her life's philosophy is, "You are never too old to set." Is that your life lesson quote, or is there something else?
I love quotes from C.S. Lewis and also from Winston Churchill. And so, yes, I would say that those men have both inspired me significantly.
Absolutely. So, what is your life lesson quote, and how did it change you? We actually have it. You sent us to two.
Okay.
You sent it
Yeah.
before, which is
Uh-huh.
Sir Winston Churchill. attitude,
Mhm.
attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Why this
That
quotation?
I think that your attitude is something that can greatly change the outcome of whatever you're doing, because it makes such a difference in how you approach, your day or the work you're doing. Because if you approach a problem, for example, with a grumbling attitude, it makes the work so much harder. But if you approach a problem as a challenge or an opportunity that you're grateful to have, an opportunity to solve, it makes it almost like, um, a puzzle that that's enjoyable, and that you're going to benefit from. And I think that just makes a world of difference, and it certainly makes a great difference to those around you.
Mm, absolutely. And you're working with women in manufacturing, trying to bring more leaders into this industry. How and what do
Yes.
you do?
So one of the things that I do as, the membership director for our chapter is to reach out to, the businesses, the corporations, and so forth that are located in our state, and alert them to the fact that WIM exists, and to invite them to join us so that their employees can benefit from all that WIM has to offer. And that's, I think that's very successful, because we want as many women in manufacturing to be, our partners and our members as possible.
Mm,
And I think that we all learn from one another, so we can all benefit from best practices and lessons learned. And it's like, oh, well, you do that, that's great, we could adopt that as well. And
mm.
so we all, grow together.
Absolutely. And it's not just about attracting more females at the bottom of the industry, it's actually showing the path to the top of the industry, just like
Exactly.
Angela did.
Mhm.
Now, Angela, we are coming to our favorite question. Imagine you can travel anywhere in the world, pandemic is nearly over, and you could take any person in the world to have private breakfast anywhere in the world. Who would you invite and where would you go to?
Well, it was pretty easy to decide who I would invite. And that would be my faithful friend and assistant, Robin Kennedy. She has been with me practically from the beginning of my company. And because we work virtually, she and I have never met in person. So I would definitely take Robin Kennedy to breakfast. And the place that we would go would be the Hotel Dan in Tel Aviv. I spent,
Mm,
about a week in Israel once, and I stayed at the Hotel Dan, and have decided they have the most beautiful, delicious breakfast buffet I have ever had. And I love dates and figs and fruit of all kinds. And the Hotel Dan has all of that. Plus, they have blintz every morning. And all of that appealed to me, and it was delicious. And I would love to enjoy that breakfast with Robin.
Robin, all the best to you. Hopefully, you will finally meet in Tel Aviv or anywhere in the world. Angela, thank you very much for your answers. As we are coming to the end of our show, I wanted to bring you a quotation. Manufacturing is more than just putting parts together. It's coming up with ideas, testing principles, and perfecting the engineering as well as final assembly. James Dyson said. Now, I would like to also bring to your attention tech trivia about a self-taught engineer. Margaret Knight was a true pioneer in the world of invention. She designed a machine that could cut, fold, and glue flat-bottom paperbacks automatically. Can you imagine that? We are behind so many inventions. So is Angela. So are so many women hacking the future. And I leave you with this message. As always, our positivity quote comes from positive thinking only and goes, look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look harder. Next week, we are going to talk to our favorite networker. We had her almost 2 years ago. During pandemic, we were talking with Kelly Hoey about how to network in the pandemic reality. Now, let's look at the networking strategies to a seat on the board of directors, any C-suite seat that we need more women sitting at the table. Angela, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Agata, Bellon, and Jane, for your comments, for your kind questions. And this is it from episode 82 with Angela. And thank you very much. And I hope to see you next week to hack the future of networking. Thank you.